Welcome to the WPAOG podcast. In this episode, we're joined by Brian Anthony, a former Special Forces Green Beret turned Hollywood screenwriter, and Sean Mullin, a former Army officer and 9/11 first responder who now directs independent films. Together, these West Point grads are bringing the story of Army Rugby to the big screen in their new documentary, Brothers on 3. Please enjoy this episode with our host, Jamie Enos.
Sean and Brian, thank you so much for coming on the WPAOG podcast. Kind of last minute because we are trying to get this coordinated with the release of Brothers on 3. Sean, congratulations. Brian, congratulations. It is great to have you both here today. Thanks for coming on again.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
So, Sean, Brothers on 3 goes beyond rugby. This film, I know last time we had you on, you were doing the film with the Yogi Berra family, and that was fabulous. Anybody that wants to listen to that interview, we have that out on our website as well. But this film, Brothers on 3, about the West Point rugby family, it's about identity, resilience, the bond forged here at West Point, and even a little bit of healing, right, with Brotherhood. So what message do you hope that the viewers are going to take away most from this film?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. I mean, there's a lot to take away, I hope, a lot about leadership, this idea that sometimes the best lessons in leadership aren't learned from winning as much as they are from how you handle loss. That's kind of a big piece of this, I think. And another takeaway is the idea that this isn't really a rugby film at its heart. I think it's ultimately just a really refreshing and authentic portrait of, what I would consider the healthiest positive masculinity I've ever seen on screen from a group of resilient young men. I think it's just, they go through so much over the course of this season, and it's really incredible. And the way they just bounce back from everything and have each other and have each other's backs. And they've got this team motto, or the core values of the team are trust, commitment, and love. And this idea of having this group of young men looking each other in the eyes and saying that they love each other and they really have each other's backs, it really resonates. I think it's been resonating with the smaller audiences we've been showing it to, and now we're excited to show it to the mass audiences here.
I can't wait for it to kind of explode. And you're bringing it back here to West Point too, so that you'll have a little bit of an unveiling here where you filmed a lot of this. Brian, as former rugby player here at West Point, you co-wrote this film and you're a producer on the project. Can you describe what a producer does for a film like this, Brothers on 3, for those of us that don't know or may not know what's going on out in Hollywood?
Sure. Yeah. The short answer is you solve problems. That's kind of like what everybody does for producer, specific to this film and others. But there's 3 phases. There's pre-production, there's production, there's post-production. I was mainly involved with Sean in the pre-production and the production parts. So the pre-production involved getting approvals, which is, as you know, at the Academy is a huge deal. And it went beyond the Academy. What else? Logistics. We were going to be filming this for a very long time. So where are people sleeping? How are we getting into the Academy? How are we feeding them? All that kind of stuff. We had to do quite a bit of fundraising for that. That's some of the pre-production stuff. And the production stuff's kind of what most people are familiar with, is literal filming of material, coordinating that with the team, the players, the Academy, when we went into the barracks, and other things you see in the film. So I think that's kind of a nutshell.
Sure. So you and Sean knew each other before this started, and you're both out in California doing this Hollywood thing, which is a little bit untraditional for West Point grads, right? We don't think about that as the post-career following West Point, but we do have a lot of grads in this industry now. The more and more are just popping up as advisors and writers, and even now directors and leading the way. Talk about collaborating with Sean. Come on, give us a scoop.
The scoop with Sean. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long collaboration.
But be careful, because I might ask him the same question, Brian.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been long and long gestating, I would say. I'd say Sean and I both collectively and separately had tried several times to assail telling a story about this team, the rugby thing. Sean's written movies about it. I've tried to do TV shows. We both try to do it together. And it's just it's a tough nut to crack. And I can talk a little bit about the genesis of this, which was kind of, it was Sean's idea. He came to me and he's like, look, I went to the coach. I asked him, he said he's willing to. Let's cut together trailers, see what we can do. And I believe, if I'm correct, it was the national championship season. Sean, am I wrong on that? The Beat Neighbor was up this season before.
Yeah, no,
the curtain raiser.
The curtain raiser was, that was fall of 21. So October 21 was like the first official shoot. They played
Okay.
Navy. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God, we've been doing this for so long. I didn't realize it's that long. So like that was that. And Sean is literally what money we scraped together, him with a camera running around getting it. It ended up being this iconic game where they beat Navy as what they call a curtain raiser or an intro game to a big professional international match of New Zealand playing in the States. And we beat Navy, and like we were able to cut that together, generate excitement. And I think once we saw that, we're like, okay, this might be it. And we really pursued it like aggressively at that point.
It talks about the resiliency, right? I mean, which I'm sure you can attest to learning at one point, and the length of the project of going through your 47 months experience, maybe comparable of going through the grittiness of getting that on screen finally here. Sean, I love when you talk about, and everything I've seen released and all your pressers and everything, talking about the masculinity and the positivity coming out of that. So how did you navigate balancing that with the intensity of rugby, the sport in general, right? It's kind of brutal, for lack of better words. I remember even talking to Sammy Sullivan a couple months years ago, going into the Olympics and stuff like that. And everybody's got the broken nose, beat up face and story and bloody this and that goes with it. It's a rough sport. So how did you balance that, the intensity of the competition, with that deeper theme of community and culture that is so inspiring and woven within the story?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think they actually go hand in hand. I think kind of the more intense your experiences with a group of folks, the more vulnerable you can be with them. And so I think the fact that these guys are, playing a dangerous sport, they are putting their bodies on the line every single day. I think there's something about that kind of physical vulnerability that opens the door very naturally for an emotional vulnerability.
Yeah. Do you have a specific moment when you were filming that like kind of changed your perspective, right? Because you have been a player and now you're on the other side of it, right? I mean, you go and watch it, but now you're filming it and you've got to tell the stories too that deepens your understanding and of the either the game or the Brotherhood itself.
When we both played, so I played all 4 years, graduated in 97. Brian played all 4 years. Brian was the captain of the 01 team and very successful team. He captained there for a while. And so we both, I think, were very aware of this Brotherhood and how strong the bonds were, but we were definitely like, these guys hug a lot. Like these guys I mean, one of Jack Simpson, this didn't even make a cut of the movie, but Jack Simpson, one of my favorite guys that we were following there, he was like, I give like 30 hugs every day at lunch. It's just like, I think that was something like, I was like, okay, wow, these guys really do. Some people would say they love each other. These guys like love each other. And it's really evident. And it's really, just like I said, refreshing and great to see. And so I think that's when I started picking up on it. And then when Coach Sherman gives his beginning of the year talk and he says, listen, these are our core values, trust, commitment, and love. And they really, they don't shy away from it. They lean into that. And I think that's when I think pieces started coming together. Right, Brian? Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think, Jim, you can lock this onto like we're talking about, like the collaboration with Sean. Like if you look at Sean's work, scripted in his movie or any of his documentaries, I know that Sean has an uncanny ability to find emotion, even if people cannot see it. I think that was cut across. And we're doing a documentary, so there's no scripted content. We have no idea what you're going to get. You're pointing at a camera, you don't know what they're going to say, what they're going to do. And even by the end, we're like, okay, I don't know what the story is here, but like I think there's a fate in that Sean's ability to do that. So I think that was driving a lot of the collaboration. It's like we might be walking through a dark forest and nobody can see anything, but like Sean, she can see something we can't see, and we're gonna be able to pull it and draw it out. The hugging and everything Sean just talked about is part of it. But yeah, I think that's a big part of the collaboration as well.
Yeah, I think there was a moment too at the end of the film, not to give too much away, but there's a moment in the film where one of the players says he's got a big emotion. There's a big moment in one of the big games, and he's not sure how it's going to go. And one of his teammates comes up and says, "Whatever happens, just know I love you." And it's just like the fact that like that happens at this key moment in this key match. Seeing that, like once you sit through interviews, there's hundreds of interviews and hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of footage or whatever, and there are moments when certain people do certain things where you're like, oh, that's going to be in the movie. Like I just know, I clock it. And when he delivered, it was Johnny Haley was the player, and he delivered this really, really beautiful kind of piece about this key moment in this film, and that was definitely something I was like, okay, we're locked into something special here.
Right, and then you almost like start building around that. Would you say? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So you know that's okay. That's an anchor. That's an emotional anchor, right? So you find your emotional anchors, and like now, how can you build to that emotional anchor in a way that feels organic and natural, but also allows it the room to breathe and resonate and hopefully hit with audiences.
Yeah. And I have to imagine too, Brian, would you say that like you're watching this or you're writing this or you're going back and forth with the players and the families because you're having those conversations too, and you start almost reflecting on your own experiences and what you gained out of as a player and a captain and as a leader on that team and what you all went through as well, right? I mean, what did you discover about yourself as an individual, not just a professional?
You have the privilege in the position Sean and I were in of foresight, right? Like or hindsight, excuse me, that like you can now look back and see that kind of stuff and see what it was building towards. I think I won't speak for Sean, but like I was very caught in the moment when we were at that age and very much like, this is it. Rugby is my life. This is do or die. Like this is all that it is. Even though it's getting pounded into you, this is to build to something bigger.
Right.
And I think I was more able to see that as we were filming, which does not take the emotion out of it. I would think Sean would agree. We got quite close to these guys. We followed them for an entire year through a very trying season and a lot of adversity. But yeah, I think that's definitely what I learned, and has come with age and maturity, is just to be able to like step back, like what's the bigger picture here, open your own aperture, let that stuff come in and let it fill you instead of just being so like laser focused.
And so you're doing this as old grads too, right? Like we should remind ourselves of that. You're coming
Young
back-
old.
Yeah,
Grads,
okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah. There's
less younger than others.
There's a tier. Yeah, there's a tier there.
You want the asterisk. Okay, I'm sorry, Sean.
No. I'm just.
But you're doing this as old grads, right? And so part of that is that, yes, they are rugby players on a collegiate team, but they're also cadets, right, here at the military academy. And so how was that experience of interacting with them and kind of comparing your experience to what they're going through and the academics and hearing the overflow of their schedules and the intensity of what they were going through versus like what you had to, any core has moments, or were you like, oh man, I was never getting it?
I mean, Sean, neither one of us, I think, are like the core has guys. Like really, like we're not that. If anything, I would say we were impressed, like just with the evolution. I mean, Sean and I always joke around about the evolutionary chart where you have like the ape on one end, and then like there's eventually an upright human. Like Sean and I think we're both like, after seeing these guys, we're closer to the ape probably than the upright human. So like. I was just impressed with how evolved they were in every way, able to express the emotions, how formalized everything was. Like Sean spoke about, like the three pillars of the core of their philosophy, like all the tattoos, like all this stuff was kind of there, but it just wasn't like polished and formalized and institutionalized. And I don't know, that's what I felt. I just was like blown away by like the seeds that had been planted even before Sean and I played, well before we played, had grown into this thing, this finely tuned machine where these guys knew their identity, knew who they were unabashedly proud of that. And just, I don't know, I was just so impressed with the evolution and the polish. But I don't know, Sean, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I definitely impressed. I mean, the mid 90s was a different time at the academy for sure, for better, for worse in a lot of ways. But no, we were just super impressed, blown away by these young guys, and just like, yeah, just how they are. So I think I just would echo Brian, how evolved they are and how locked in they are and how aware they are, but in a great way, and how giving and kind they are. And they all kind of felt like ultimately, like it was going back, like they felt like our little brothers in a way. At least that's the vibe I got. I feel like I still text. I was texting with some of them this morning. Actually, Larry Williams is on a flight right now to LA, the team captain. He's coming to the world premiere, and they're just great guys. And it really, selfishly, I think it really allowed me at least to feel like, I get a little second stab at a community I really do miss and has been with me since the seeds of this idea were planted ultimately when I played back in the mid 90s. I've been trying to tell a story about this program since then. And so I think selfishly, I might have gotten more out of it than anyone.
Oh, that's really great to hear from both of you. So what has been the reaction from the rugby community then that you have? How has everybody been reacting to it?
So far, so good. I mean, not a lot of people have seen the film yet. So it's kind of a little exciting. We're having our world premiere at LA Live downtown. And so it's good. It's always a little bit of an electric moment because we haven't really shown it to more than 4 or 5 people at one sitting ever. Well, I guess we had some test screenings, about a dozen folks at a time. That's a big part of our process too. And and just like testing out the film and seeing what's working, see what's not working. What are people tripping on? People don't know a lot about rugby. People don't know a lot about West Point. So we had to really iterate a lot, as Brian could attest, a lot of iteration to get this to where it is. But we're really proud of the finished product. And I'd be remiss without saying, like, I'd be remiss to not mention the fact that this film came together in large part to the support of the alumni, the West Point Alumni Network. And so Dave Averett was our champion from day one. He's a 96 rugger. He's a producer on the film. He really got some financial backing behind us, but also just like rally the troops. Then we've got Dean Dorman and Lou Bohr from the Alumni Association, and Brad Harrison, and just Scout Ventures. They're sponsoring our world premiere. So just like when you start going down the list of all the names, guys we played with, I mean, we got TJ Ike, Luke Herbert. I mean, I don't know. A lot of Brian Boyer. I don't know. I could go on. They're all in the credits, but so many people stepped up, right, Brian? I mean,
so many. Yeah, there's two of us on this podcast. I mean, it takes a village. Like it could not be any more fitting in this case. Another one who, Natalie Worthen, who spearheaded her nonprofit Veterans Collaborative, was our fiscal sponsor. And we really couldn't have accessed many of the funds from the people that Sean just mentioned without her. So I would point everyone to her direction and her organization, because, man, like literally we could not have done it without her help as well. So she helped walk us through that, educate us on the project, and get all those charitable funds going, and in large part did it. But yeah, I agree with Sean. Like, this is definitely a group effort.
Yeah. Lee Anderson, Tom Dyer. I don't know. The names keep coming, but it's just so many people.
Yeah, there's a long list of that long gray line in that credits, and that's beautiful to see that the backing was there and the support, which of course wouldn't expect anything else, right? I mean, I hate to say that, but also wouldn't expect anything else. So what was the biggest challenge you guys had? What was the hurdle that you had to kind of overcome, or that it was like, okay, this is the mountain and the hill we're going to climb and we're going to get over it, but it's we're going to put our boots on and get over it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it came in. I mean, geez, Brian, it came in waves, right? I mean, there were waves of hurdles, I think. Would you agree? I mean,
yeah, again, this is, God, I didn't even realize it until Sean said 2021, but like, yeah, it's 4 years of this. So, I mean, for me, it was like time and space. Those are the two things that I think were like obstacles, and those that put some of those equal money, I think, were like clearly. So the space, it was difficult in that if you see some of these projects like this, they're literally camped with them 24/7. And it just wasn't an option for Sean and I. We're in California. We were oftentimes taking red eyes every weekend out to shoot on the weekends and having to come back to our day jobs. So that was challenging, the logistics of that. Time, same. I think the logistics cover that, having to do those flights, travel back and forth. So we have our families out here. And then access to the team and the players. Like, as you mentioned earlier, they're cadets, full-time schedules, academically, athletically. The PAO, Public Affairs Department at West Point, who has been great. They've been super supportive, but like, you know, they support everything. It's not a big shop, and they're supporting multiple projects, including ours. So trying to carve out the time for them, and then the time within their parameters to meet with the cadets and do that, and trying to find places to film. There were a lot of logistical challenges. For everybody who knows, there's alumni, if it's a football weekend at West Point and there's a home rugby game. I mean, and I think this was Sean's idea. Like, we had to get incredibly creative in an efficient way with cash and time and space. So you can't buy hotel rooms for an entire crew on a football weekend because the hotels search the prices and there's not a lot of availability. And we can't be going into a shoot weekend. Hey, maybe we have a room, maybe we don't. So we basically became citizens of Highland Falls. We rented an apartment. We're efficient with our funds that way. It wasn't glamorous. We had people sleeping on air mattresses, but like, we made it happen and we were ready to shoot. We got in. So, you know, that's what comes to mind for me, Sean. And I'm sure there's many other ones.
Yeah, those are definitely the producerial kind of logistical hurdles. I think the creative hurdles were like, what's good? They go from having the best season in team history to a very difficult season. And how are we going to piece this story together and tell a story about a team that's trying to defend and that's struggling with injury after injury and all these things. And so that on the creative side, that was a big piece. But like I said, ultimately the way that things turned out, I couldn't have scripted it better, honestly.
That's great to hear. I hear so much of like an entrepreneurial theme through this, I think. And it's funny that you're talking about like the Bradley Harrisons and the Andersons and all those entrepreneurial spirits that are here backing you as well behind it.
Oh yeah. Well, I have a very strong, for better or worse, I have a very strong entrepreneurial streak. I mean, I was raised with what I like to call toxic optimism from my father, who was it was an entrepreneur, was a serial entrepreneur. And so like I was raised in that world. And I think independent filmmaking, this will be my 7th film that hits theaters that I've either written, directed, and or produced. And each one's been another entrepreneurial endeavor, and they're difficult. But I think there is something in that. It's interesting. We didn't get to touch on it too much in the film because we didn't have any data on it. But all those entrepreneurs you mentioned, Brad Harrison, and a lot of these entrepreneurs that come out of the West Point community are ruggers. I go to the entrepreneurial network or community, or whether that summit they do every year, and I'm surprised at how many. I think rugby players are overrepresented there, which is also something we did parallel in the military side of things. So one of the more kind of impressive stats that came out during filming, we actually opened the film with this card. So it's not really giving anything away, but the typical West Point cadet has a 1% chance of getting promoted to the rank of general officer. But if you play rugby, you've got a 3% chance. So that's a 300 X, a 300% delta, which is a massive delta, a statistical anomaly. It's not even close, not double, it's triple. And I'll be honest with you, I started crunching more numbers. It's probably higher than 3. So I feel confident saying that. So we've had a couple guys just get promoted recently too. So it's an incredible thing. And so that was definitely something we wanted to investigate with this film, is what's in the sauce? Why is that? But I do feel like that's not just in the military chain of promotions. I do feel like also in the civilian world, you see a lot of business leaders and you see a lot of entrepreneurs who have a rugby background, because again, there is a certain element of risk to this sport. And I think that translates well into people who maybe metabolize risk in a different way in the business world.
It's a fascinating statistic when I saw that, and I was like, oh, Daddy team, look what they just did for us. We have that upstairs here in AOG and got that on the files because we love all those kind of facts about our grads. So we definitely put that in the file, Sean.
Yeah. The person who crunched those numbers is actually our late Coach Mahan. He's the one who crunched all the grad numbers. He did that. We had a whole Excel spreadsheet. So it's all, and he sent that over to us, and the film is dedicated to him. He was my coach and Brian's coach, class of 70, Mike Mahan. So yeah, again, be remiss without mentioning him as well. He was a big inspiration, a father figure to the both of us, and to countless ruggers, men and women. We didn't we didn't have the opportunity to get too much of the women's program here, just because only have so much time. But we do in the credits, we do talk about the women's team and how Coach Mahan started help get that off the ground, and they've been extremely successful. They've got a great team this year. We've been watching them every weekend, so it's always great to see.
Yeah. Exactly. Absolutely. So you both played here at West Point. You want to recap your best Beat Navy wins as we end and wrap this podcast up?
Go for it, Sean.
I mean, the one I remember, I remember playing them down. It wasn't as, when we were here, at least in the 90s, it wasn't as structured. So like we didn't even play them, I think, every year. It was kind of random because the schedules, we played them down in like San Antonio, I think, once. And that was a really fun time. And it was like, it's like with most rugby memories I have, it's even almost less about the match and more about hanging out and socializing after, getting to know these guys and getting to know everybody. So I do remember that, but Brian probably has some different memories.
We had the same kind of all schedule thing, and I don't think we ever beat Navy while I was there. So I think we only played them 3 times. So the curtain raiser I mentioned earlier, that was like very special to me to see that, like, especially in that platform, like such a big stage.
Well, guys, don't worry, Brian. I will cut that whole part out about you not beating Navy. That we're just gonna erase it.
Sure. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, the Navy.
Yeah, we'll just pretend like it never happened.
Okay. Sounds good. I certainly have.
You guys know how editing works, but well, thank you both for being on today. I'm really proud again, Sean. I'm just putting on another thing. Brian, it's a pleasure to meet you, and awesome contribution to this project, and just what a brotherhood to put it together. I can't wait to see the film in its entirety and with everybody in Mahan Hall, and I just see all the success that you have coming out of it. So good luck to everybody.
Yeah.
So keep in touch. We want to see more of these things come out.
Thanks for having us. I hope everyone comes out to see the film. Sean and I are very proud of it. So whether you played rugby or not, come check it out.
Yeah, it opens in Regal Cinemas. We've got a guaranteed 2-week run, so November 7th to the 20th, and select Regal Cinemas across the country. So come to we have a website, brothersonthreefilm.com, or you can go just to regalcinemas.com or whatever it is, their website, and get tickets. Or show your support, and Instagram, Facebook, all that type of stuff. We're out there pushing everything we can.
Well, awesome. All right. Well, if there's anything else we can do for you, you know how to reach me. Let me know now or in the future kind of thing. Thank you both for being on today.
Thank you for listening to the WPAOG Broadcast Network. Please take a moment to rate and review the show and subscribe to automatically get updates on a new episode. Thank you for listening.